If you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I don't care what happens if I'm breathing, I gotta fulfill my purpose. I can feed my weakness or I can fulfill my destiny. I got work to do. And so I don't have any time to think about who doesn't like me, who does not agree with me, who's not walking with me. Yes, I need to evaluate who's on my team. At the end of the day, I gotta keep going for me.
When I realized that losing your temper was a sign of weakness, as soon as I made that connection, I said to myself, this is weak, I'm gonna try not to do it anymore. And what's weird is when you're a kid, I don't know if you remember this, but when I was a kid, and you'd see someone get angry and it made you afraid. And so for a while, I saw it as like a power. You know, it's kind of a way to achieve power.
Comments on the channel a lot about my wardrobe. I spent a lot of years in Alaska, a lot of years riding in Alaska, and then riding, in Wyoming and Colorado and other places. And over the years, I've developed me, what works for me, what I like, what I'm comfortable with, whether it be my wardrobe, whether it be the beard, whether it be the hair, whether it be the rifles and the handguns that I carry when I'm hunting and out in the woods. Whatever it is, it's me. And I don't ask, what is everybody around me doing?
You're going to focus to develop your skills. The guy was the new owner of a baseball team that was in the basement of the league when he took it over. He went to the picture and he said, what is your best throw? And he said, well, I got a good curveball and I've got a good fastball. And he went on talking about his different throws. He said, but tell me this, what is your best throw? He thought for a moment. He said, I've got a good fastball. He said, that's all I want you to work on. Nothing else. Just develop your fastball. The next year, they went to the World Series. Most people don't know where their fastball is.
He laughed at me. 7 other recruiters laughed at me. One recruiter finally said, come on in, I'm too busy to talk to you on the phone. He didn't know how much I weighed. I walked in the recruiter's office and he looked at me and he said, you're fat and you're black. I said I want to be a Navy SEAL. I didn't know there only been 35 African-American Navy SEALs at that time in over 70 years. He said I basically had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months because of my age. I was getting too old. I came back 3 months later, 106 pounds lighter.
I didn't get here making excuses. So what, my father wasn't in my life? The truth of the matter is, he ain't never come into my life. So what, I'm gonna wait for the rest of my life for my man to come? He ain't coming. I live in America, I'm an African-American male. They don't treat us the same. It's something called racism. I ain't gonna cry about it. It's probably gonna be racism to the day I die, but I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm still gonna be a millionaire. I'm still gonna be one of the top motivational speakers in the world.
And so that's what I need to do. When I went and got the job in Colorado, I guess it was last summer, summer before last. When I showed up, I was me. And I had the Peterson vests, and I had a big old long beard. I had the black, this is my winter hat, Resist All 7X, and I saw no need to change. I saw no need to go start buying short sleeve pearl snap shirts and straw hats, square-toed Cayman boots, and I saw no need to change. I was me, and I could cowboy being me the same as I could cowboy trying to look like somebody else. I shaved the beard after a while because during branding,
going for me, I gotta keep believing. I have to keep trusting the process. I have to understand that I don't need you to believe in me. And so no matter how hard it gets, I made a decision that I will claw myself out of this thing. You try to bury me, I'm gonna dig myself out. You try to knock me to the ground, I'm gonna get back up again. You're gonna have to take my life in order for me to stop. because I'm going to win or die. That's it. I don't give myself any other options. You got to stop giving yourself options. When are you going to divorce options? It's this way or no other way. And that way is to win. That way is to fulfill. And so at some point you're going to come to the resolve that no matter how hard it gets, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep a healthy perspective. I will not be the weapon that is formed against me. I will not be pessimistic. I will not be petty. I will not wallow in misery.
A way to achieve power, that you can lose your temper and then all of a sudden you have this extra strength. And so when you're a little kid, and when I say a little kid, I mean when I was 13, 14 years old, I thought, hey, if I could get that rage going and people are scared like I used to feel, that's a positive thing. And then, like I said, as I got older, now now you're talking 16, 15, 16, 17, I realized
Most people go through life never discovering what their talents are. Most people never develop their talents. They have skills and abilities, but if you don't nurture them, if you don't develop them, they will never serve you. Your gifts can take you many places if you develop your gifts. Most of us don't like to do those things that come easy to us. I've always loved to talk to people. I decided, taking this advice, to develop my skills as a speaker.
That's not my life. 6 months later, I tell you no lies, 6 months later, FDA came out with a new hookup. It was the same medication, but now it was a little bit more in a smaller needle, and it was only three times a week. The doctor was like, Eric, you should be happy. And I said, I am, but I still don't settle.
And I couldn't keep it decent. I couldn't keep it nice. And so I shaved it because that's what I needed to do for me. But then when I got to where it was practical again, I grew it back out. Why? Because it's me. Because it's me. And you'll not find, what's the word I want?
I spent 18 months going through BUDS, which is a 6-month program. Went through 3 hell weeks. That is where I met Marcus Luttrell, Danny Dietz, Michael Murphy, another Medal of Honor winner. I went through hell week with all these guys, real heroes. I am not a hero. I served with real heroes. And from there, I went on to raise over $2 million for Special Operations Warrior Foundation. I know what it takes to be a combat soldier, and I used to look for courage. I thought courage was a man who won the Medal of Honor. It is. But courage is a man who's willing to put those boots on every single day of his life to go out there and fight for this country where nobody even knows what the hell they're doing or where the hell they're at. You do it for the man beside you. Thank you.
I guarantee that there are people on this call that have been sitting on an idea for more than a decade. I guarantee it. Sitting on a dream for over 10 years. And that's horrible. That's where dreams die. That's where ideas die. That's where projects die. So, how do you go about overcoming this? How do you actually go about overcoming this? And what you do is you take action. And listen, the action doesn't need to be huge. You probably heard me say this, I write 1,000 words a day. When I gotta write a book, I write 1,000 words a day. I don't care if I write 7 words. In an hour, I write 7 words. Okay, at least I tried. And the next day I'll write more. But to do nothing, to write 0 words, the difference between 0 words and 7 words is infinite. So you have to take some kind of action. This is what's cool. Right now we're running the Def Reset. And one of the things on the Def Reset is to write down the top 3 things you need to do. And then you go do those 3 things. That's why we have that in there. And you know, I had this conversation with Jordan Peterson, like, imagine if you do what you're supposed, imagine if you wrote down the 3 things you need to do tomorrow, and then tomorrow you woke up and you did them. And then imagine if you did that for a week, and then imagine if you did that for a year, and then imagine if you did that for 5 years. Where would you be in life? Totally different place. But that hardest step is that first step, to break the gravitational pull. Break the gravitational pull of stagnation. So, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take action. Now, this is also important. Equally important is that when you execute, you have to pay attention to the feedback loop. You have to pay attention. When you take action, you have to pay attention to the feedback that you then get. Is the action that you took, is it having the desired effect that you want? And this seems so obvious. It seems so obvious to say, okay, I took this action, I'm getting positive feedback, I should do it more. That's great. Sometimes we take action, we don't get the feedback that we want. We realize maybe we're not on the right path. And instead of adjusting, we keep trying the same plan, we keep trying the same maneuver, we keep trying the same tactic, even though it's not working. And by the way, that's something that causes a lack of execution. Because people think when they execute that whatever they do is written in stone. And it's not. Nothing's written in stone. Well, just about nothing is written in stone. If you're flexible, if you know you can change course, if you know you can adjust direction, if you know you can adapt to a shifting marketplace or a new battlefield scenario, if you go in with an open mind and you know you can change your mind and make adjustments, then that will make it easier for you to execute. And that's why we talk about utilizing the iterative decision-making process, making small decisions, taking small actions, execute those actions swiftly, and then adjust rapidly and repeat.
That is so powerful, and I didn't realize it. I went through 3 Hell Weeks, Ranger School, Delta Force selection, all this stuff. This incident I'm going to explain to you right now was where I realized we are only at 40% of what we are capable of. Here I am, right idea to do this race called Badwater 135. I Googled the 10 hardest races in the world. What came up? Crazy race in Death Valley. Summertime, 135 miles. I knew nothing about ultra running. I thought you would camp out, run 20 miles. Then one day, and then run 20 miles again until you got 135 miles. I had no idea what I was doing. Called the race director up. He's like, hey, have you run 100 miles? I was like, what, in a week or what? What are you talking about? He's like, no, in 24 hours or less. I said, no. He goes, you got to qualify to get in this race. You have to run 100 miles in 24 hours or less. He was trying to call my bluff. I call him up on a Wednesday. He goes, hey, there's a race in San Diego on Saturday, where it's a 24-hour race where you run around, a track, a 1-mile track for 24 hours. And if you get 100 miles, I will consider you in my race. It really helps to be smart, people. And I was not smart in this situation. I said, oh, I did the math. It's about a 14-something minute mile. I can do that. Anyway, I show up on Saturday with the blue lawn chair, Ritz Crackers Mileplex, and my ex-wife. And every mile I'm gonna see her, I'm gonna grab some Ritz Crackers and some Mileplex. I know what the hell I'm doing, but it's bliss. That whole ignorance is bliss thing. So I get to 70 miles pretty damn fast. I get to 70 miles in like 12, 13 hours. What do you think happens to your body when you haven't trained for that kind of mileage? A lot of bad things, but I thought I was in good shape. It was amazing. So I hadn't gone to the bathroom at all. I sit down, big mistake. I sit down in this blue lawn chair, I sit down, looking at my ex-wife, I'm seeing like 3 or 4 of her. I'm like, oh, this is not good. So I'm trying to play it off because I know where I'm about to go. So I'm sitting there, and when you haven't gone to the bathroom, you're dehydrated, your nutrition's all jacked up. You sit down, you gotta go to the bathroom now. So I look at my ex-wife and go, do you love me? She said, yes. Why? I go, because I want to take a shit on myself right now. Because I can't stand up because my blood pressure's all messed up. So I'm sitting there literally pooping up my back and peeing blood down my leg. She's a nurse. So she's concerned. And I'm telling you right now, there's one thing you never want to hear as a black person. She said you're starting to turn white. So I'm sitting there and I'm all jacked up. And I'm like, okay, how in the world am I I got 30 miles to go. I should quit, but I didn't. What I started doing through this whole process was I started to study myself in the dark times. So instead of just quitting real fast, I said, no, I'm going to quit, but not right now. So I sat back for a second and I said, let me get some water, let me hydrate, let me clean myself up a little, let me get some nutrition. I wasn't dizzy. I said, okay, my feet are all messed up. Let me see if I can walk. I'm gonna walk 1 mile and then I'll go home. That'll be a great accomplishment for me, 71 miles. So I took this massive thing and I started breaking it down into small chunks. And as I started breaking it down into small chunks, I started realizing maybe I'll walk 1 more mile. But at the pace I was walking, I wasn't gonna make the time. So this is when I realized the whole 40% rule. Those of you who worry, red can't hurt me, you understand it. Basically, the 40% rule is when we have a governor on our brains, like a governor on a car. A car may say 130, but if you put a governor on a car, it can only go 101. We do the same thing to our brains. I was born with limited horizons, born on the other side of the tracks. I didn't think I could be anybody. So my governor was myself. So once you take that governor off, you have limitless horizons.